I was just an ordinary young man with only one dream: to complete my studies in Russia. I arrived there about 3 years ago, full of hope, like any student who travels abroad. I never expected that my life would take a dark turn or that I would become the target of an organized campaign that would change the course of my entire existence. At first, everything seemed normal. I enrolled at the university, got to know some classmates, and tried to adapt to a new life in a country very different from mine, both culturally and linguistically. But something small began happening, something I didn't take seriously at first. Photos and videos of me being taken in public places, at the gym, in the bathroom, even in the dormitory halls. I thought it was just coincidence or maybe harmless curiosity from some fellow students. But with time, I realized these shots were not accidental. They were collected, compiled, and circulated. And not publicly, but within closed circles, like private groups where these materials were treated as commodities to be traded. As days went by, I started to see the bigger picture. This wasn't just about random filming, it was being turned into a hidden economy. Photos were marketed, videos were promoted, and victims became mere products in a dark marketplace. I had gone to Russia only to study, yet I found myself reduced to raw material in a trade I never consented to. Then came the second stage. Technology entered the game. It wasn't just filming anymore. They began to use technical means to monitor me, to hack into my accounts, to follow my reactions. At times, it felt like they were trying to get inside my head, convincing me that they could read my thoughts or analyze me neurologically. Whether it was real or not, the suggestion alone was enough to terrify me. Soon, fabricated videos appeared, edited clips that distorted my reputation. They were not simply made to mock me. They were designed to attack me socially and academically. They spread rumors, planted doubt, and created an environment where people avoided me rather than supported me. I paid the price very quickly. Mentally, I was trapped in fear and anxiety. Sleep disappeared, concentration in my studies became almost impossible. Physically, I felt exhausted, worn down by constant psychological pressure. My life no longer felt like my own. The sense of being followed haunted me everywhere. In the street, in the classroom, even in my room. Imagine being in a foreign country, alone, with no support, and feeling that someone is watching you at every moment. That feeling of helplessness was the hardest thing I endured. I decided to turn to the Russian police. I thought to myself, this is a state. These are official institutions. Surely they will protect me. But reality was harsh. When I explained my case, I received no genuine response. Sometimes I was ignored completely. Other times it felt as though they simply didn't want to intervene. I sensed there was a power silencing everything. Sometimes money, sometimes influence, sometimes just pure indifference. I left those experiences with bitterness. In that country as a foreigner, there was no one to protect me as a victim. I eventually decided to leave Russia. I told myself, if I return to my homeland, this nightmare will finally end. But the nightmare followed me. Back home, I expected safety. Instead, I was met with fake messages, strange notifications on my phone, and rumors targeting my family. It was no longer just about me. My loved ones became targets too. Later, I moved to Uganda, thinking the distance would be enough to protect me. But I soon learned that in the age of the internet, geographical borders mean little. The harassment, surveillance, and digital defamation continued. I learned a bitter lesson. In today's technological world, physical escape is not enough. As long as there is internet, phones, and digital platforms, the stalkers can still reach you. I also realized that no single victim can fight this alone. Unless voices unite and truths are shared, each person will remain isolated, weak, and cornered. Even now, I don't know exactly who is behind all this. Are they gangs working for the state, private groups looking for money, or larger interests hidden behind the scenes? What I do know is this. I was a victim of a systematic machine that treats human beings as commodities, for amusement, for profit, or for power. And that, in itself, is a crime too great to be ignored. Today, I am not writing these words as just a personal complaint. I am writing them as a human call. To anyone who has gone through something similar, you are not alone. If you know something, if you have proof, if you have experienced the same kind of targeting, send me a message. Not for revenge, not for hate, but for truth. Because truth only emerges when victims unite, when evidence is collected, when silence is broken. I call on every victim, do not stay silent. Silence is what makes these hidden networks stronger. But speaking out, even in small ways, sharing stories and exchanging testimonies, that is the beginning of justice. I know justice may take time. I know the road is not easy. But at least together we can protect ourselves and our families from being reduced to mere products in a dark market or experimental subjects in inhumane systems.